safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines. In his speech before the UN General Assembly, the chief executive said no country must be left behind by reason of poverty or perceived unimportance. Duterte also pointed out that all countries understandably adopted individualistic responses at the start of the pandemic. Indeed, nations closed their borders, ordered travel bans, and adjusted trade regulations to adopt a protectionist stance in the face of dwindling resources. And while these measures were necessary, Duterte lamented that it drove societies apart.
This pandemic demands the opposite response: enhanced cooperation. Our first priority is to strengthen the capacity of health systems. Without a cure and a vaccine, we can only delay the spread of the disease while we reopen our economies. Life-saving services and products must be made accessible to the most vulnerable, the most to the least.
In his taped address to the very first UN Assembly on the pandemic, President Duterte urged other world leaders to pave an inclusive path towards recovery, saying that collective action is the only way out of this global health crisis. For now, he is urging UN member states to boost the capacity of their health systems while the world awaits the full development and distribution of an effective vaccine. But once that becomes available, Duterte says he hopes that no country will be left behind. Recall that the chief executive earlier allowed the FDA to issue emergency use authorization for COVID-19 vaccines and drugs.
If any country is excluded by reason of poverty or strategic unimportance, this gross injustice will haunt the world for a long time. It will completely discredit the values upon which the United Nations were founded. We cannot let this happen. No one is safe unless everyone is safe.
UN officials share President Duterte's sentiment about the importance of collective action in the post-pandemic era. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that the world could be fighting aftershocks of the coronavirus pandemic, even if vaccines are approved and distributed in the next couple of weeks. The UN official cautioned countries against being too complacent, saying that the impact of the crisis will be felt for many years after mass vaccination. He pointed out that a vaccine cannot undo the extreme poverty brought about by the world's worst recession in 8 decades. He also added that COVID-19 has exacerbated other long-term challenges, including inequality and climate change, on top of killing 1.5 million people around the world. To mitigate the long-term global impact of the pandemic, Guterres says rich countries should step up and help developing countries recover. UNGA President Volkan Bozkir also reminded world leaders to set aside political bickering and focus on the road to global recovery. Recall that long-simmering tensions between the U.S. and China hit boiling point during the pandemic, with U.S. President Trump accusing the WHO of being a puppet of China. Bozkir says the UN should be a venue for world leaders to rally together against a common enemy, instead of assigning blame to each other.
The United Nations must lead on this. This General Assembly special session is a historic moment for member states, the United Nations, scientific community, and other stakeholders, including the civil society, to hear from each other, engage in dialogue on the multifaceted consequences of the pandemic, as well as on the ways to recover better and stronger. This is not a time to point fingers. We have convened here to forge a path forward and to end the suffering of the people we serve.
We'll be back with more stories after this quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. A PNP patrol car was burned by suspected members of the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters or BIFF in Datu Piang, Maguindanao at around 11 p.m. yesterday. Gunshots were heard from a police station in Barangay Dulawan as suspected BIFF attackers made a move against cops on duty. Westmincom Chief Lieutenant General Corleto Villuan said reinforcements from the 6th Infantry Battalion arrived within 15 minutes, forcing the alleged BIFF attackers to scamper away. Aside from the burned police car, no casualties were reported from the incident. The AFP's Joint Task Force Central, which is in charge of Central Mindanao, says that it is currently investigating the incident while remaining on high alert. But 6th Infantry Battalion spokesperson Anuvic Atilano says that there's no reason for the public to panic since the military is on top of the situation.
Upon verifying, hindi naman ano kalaki pala ang pwersa na pumasok, no? Dahil less than 50 sila. These groups naman are labeled natin na local terrorist group. So, nandyan yung Dawa Islamia, which is ISIS-inspired na mga terrorist organization, kasama ng BIFF. So, they are still motivated by the ISIS group.
Los Baños, Laguna Mayor Cesar Perez was shot dead right inside the municipal hall last night. According to Laguna Police, Perez was shot twice in the head as he was walking back to his office after coming from a public spa. This happened at around 8 p.m. or 8:45 p.m. Perez was rushed to the hospital, but he eventually died while under treatment. The Philippine Star reports that the mayor was included in President Duterte's list of narco politicians. Laguna Governor Ramil Hernandez has ordered a probe into the mayor's killing. Hernandez condemned the attack while offering condolences to Perez's family. And it is the first Friday of the month, and devotees of the Black Nazarene are expected to flock to the Quiapo Church in Manila throughout the day. To give us the latest updates from the ground, Justine Punsalang joins us live from Quiapo. Hi, Justine. How is it over there? Is it packed? Are devotees still able to maintain physical distancing?
Sean, it seems that the people's devotion to the Black Nazarene is actually more powerful than their fear of the coronavirus. This is as it is indeed the first Friday of the last month of the year, and more devotees are flocking in here in Quiapo Church. However, the problem remains. It is how to properly implement the social distancing protocol. Santa Cruz Police Station Commander Police Lieutenant Colonel John Gyagi admitted that they are having difficulties in controlling the crowd. Based on his observation, today appears to be a record breaker in the volume of churchgoers since the start of the pandemic. Because of this, he decided to order all parked motorcycles beside Plaza Miranda removed to give the people more space to witness the Mass. The police, together with the Hijos del Nazareno, manually removed the motorcycles, while some riders voluntarily parked their vehicles somewhere else. There was even one motorcycle that was towed by the police. Other obstructions like vendors were asked to vacate the area. But it seems that the effort really was not enough to accommodate the sheer number of devotees coming to the area. As early as 4 in the morning, the only entrance to the Quiapo Church along Villalobos Street was already filled. And currently, the queue of people has reached back to Quezon Boulevard. Gyagi is asking the public for cooperation and patience. He said that besides the face mask and face shields, people should always bear in mind the 6 feet social distancing protocol. He also asked parents not to bring minors along as they are still prohibited from roaming public areas. One parent was actually asked to leave Plaza Miranda when the Hijos del Nazareno saw that she had her toddler kid in tow. Quiapo Church Parochial Vicar Father Douglas Badong is also asking for the public's understanding. He said that while the church is doing its best to welcome all of those who want to come, people must bear in mind that the pandemic is still raging on. So at the end of the day, safety measures should prevail for everybody's health. Sean, because of the number of people coming here, 2 of the 5 lanes of Quezon Boulevard is already occupied. Traffic is thus building in the area. Meanwhile, Sean, it is drizzling here in Quiapo Church, but people continue to come here to witness the first first Friday masses. Sean?
All right, stay dry over there. Justine Punsalang reporting to us live from the Quiapo Church in Manila. For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.